Let's learn about access wideners in Minecraft mod development using Fabric API. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. This will be one of the last videos that you see I record on this multi-sub project system. This will be one of the few last videos that I will record on this multi-sub project system. After that, I will switch back to the main project and continue there. The reason I did this mini series was to show you the proper steps you need to do to make a main and sub project system and handle everything there. One of the things that we have in our main mod without any problem that caused the problem here is the texture pools. For the fences, fence gates, and many other things, we need these texture pools. However, at the main mod, when we had a single solution that contained everything, this would work without a hiccup because we were registering the texture pools first and we were adding the blocks right after that in the same file, so we didn't have any problem. However, when you dissect your mod into many different mods, things are different now. Well, I can cheat. I can just copy and paste the JSON files for the models from the main project into the resources section here on the decoration and get done with it, but that defies the purpose of having datagen. When we want to have the datagen and when we want to run the datagen on the decoration, it will read these texture pools as you see and then tries to register things and create the models for them. However, now we will get a null point error here because when we are running the datagen, there is a chance that this class will be called before this class generate models. And actually, we are not generating any model here when we are calling it on decoration because we are reading the values that are static on the class. And when we are here, those values are not assigned. The values will be assigned when we are calling the generate model on the base. Here we are not calling the generate model on the base and we don't want to do that. So we have a problem. We have a big problem actually here because this will be a null and you will say, hey, what's the problem? We can just copy this whole section, paste it on top and just add the project dot in front of it and add the class dot value. The problem is that this register cube all model texture pool is generating a cube all model for us. And on the decoration sub project, we don't want to create a new model for something that is sitting on another project, the base project. Okay, so how can we fix this? The easiest way would be to just create a cube all model, just a simple cube all, and then for example, for base block, Citrine, base block, Ruby, and etc. And then here we would see what section of this code is getting us to the texture pool and just dissect it and use it. So to make things easier, we just middle mouse click on the block stat model generator, block state, register cube all model texture pool. And we want to take a look at the source. So when we look at it, we see that it creates a texture model that is cube all. Okay, it's a texture model. It doesn't generate the JSON files. It's just assigning a texture model to a variable. Then it says return a texture pool. Okay, then calls the base. Now let's take a look at this base. As you see, the base method is now creating the model variance or a single block state. Let me close that and reopen it. Long story short, all we need is this section up until we call the base. And I copied it and pasted it here. So I just uncomment it to see what is the problem. Okay, we have Citrine texture pools and this is from the base model provider. We assign it. Now everything is okay except this textured models. Now if I go into textures model definition, you see that it's a static final, means that it's private, it's not public. So I can't read it from anywhere, okay? Even if it's on the generator. So I can't say generator dot blah. It will not work because now it says that it's private. I'm sure it's something like that. Yeah, private static final, okay? So it's not public. In other words, now I need to find a way to make this public, to make things easier for myself because it's a static and final. Let me see where it's sitting directly on the class, I say. Yes, I will get this and I will put it here and I will put a dot and I still have the problem because it's private, you know, so it's not public. Now here is when we use access wideners. Access wideners widener is something really simple. Basically, when something is private or protected in the Minecraft API or in the Fabric or Fabric API, somewhere that you can't change the code and you want to get access to it, you need to widen the accessibility. In other words, make it public. Now, in Forge, it's called something else. The short variables are AT, but in Fabric, we call it access wideners, and it is named AW. So what we want to do is find whatever we want to widen the access to it, then right-click there and use copy-paste the special AW entry. If I hit it, you see that it says copied something, okay? And that something is this. Accessible field from net Minecraft client data block state model generator texture models ljava/util/map. Now that we have it, question is how can we use it? Now, access wideners are something that you need to do a little bit of work yourself. In any project that you want to use this variable, we want to use this variable in the decoration project. Open the build.gradle. Now, if you have a section called loom, it's okay. If you don't have it, you should add it. And the place that I added is right under repositories. Before the Fabric API, you will type LOOM and the curly braces. Now, this is related to Loom plugin, and you put a space here. Inside here, you can have code already if you have the split solution from the template generators. But if you don't have that, then you add the Loom section and you type this. Access with capital W, widener with capital P, path. Take note, you shouldn't have any typos here, and IntelliSense, of course, helps me here. Equals to file inside the parenthesis. Now we need to send in a file. Now the file will sit under src resources, src main resources, and that is what we want. So we start with src/main/resources/ dollar curly braces. So we want to use something here. And if you notice that I have something here in Gradle properties that is called mod ID, and that is what I want to use. So I will say project.modid.access widener, and all of that should be lowercase. And again, be careful about typos in this access widener place, because this is a string and IntelliSense has no understanding whatsoever on what you're typing. If you type it wrong, it will not work. Okay, now that we know we have the file here, it's time for us to add it here. So new file, we want to have that mod ID. So the easiest way is to copy paste. So under resources, new file, the mod ID.accesswidener, access widener. And again, the plugin that I installed on IntelliJ IDEA shows you the icon of MCP. And this is nice because now I know that this access widener name is correct. Inside access widener, all we need to do is type this access widener version 2 named, and this is the lowercase v, so it's not capital. If I put a capital, you see that it's different here. And after that, put an empty line. Now here is where you put the code that you got from access widener here. So it says accessible field blah, and each time you want to add another access widener, you go into a new line. Now keep in mind, sometimes you have the semicolon at the end, sometimes you have a new character like capital F or capital V at the end. Whatever that the copy gave you as access widener entry, AW entry, just copy it, open here, put a new line, paste it, and don't care whatsoever on what you are copy pasting because you don't understand this totally. Don't be afraid of using access wideners because they are not something huge, and unlike some people on Forge community think, it's not a big deal on performance here. So now we close this, we had added something to the build.gradle. So of course we need to sync the build.gradle, and we will come back when it's finished. As you see, the build was successful. This is the syncing of the Gradle. Remember, if you don't resync your Gradle, the access widener will not work. Now, if everything is correct, if we don't have any typos here, and if we pasted everything correctly, the moment I go back to the decoration model provider, these texture models shouldn't remain red and indicated with error anymore. Let the IDE finish the scanning file for the index, and it should work now because we added this to our access wideners, and the access widener is actually making this thing public. So the only reason that you are seeing it as an error right now is that the indexing is not finished yet. Now, if you have a big project, this indexing can take time. The easiest way to understand if things are working or not is just to to put a dot right after the block state model generator. And if you see that the system is lagging to even put the dot, or if the IntelliSense is not coming up, anything like that indicates that the system is busy reading the files and indexing everything and making the IntelliJ IDEA ready to be used. So IntelliJ IDEA is not ready. And if it's not ready, then you can't identify problems like the private fields or errors or things like that. So you should wait until the indexing is finished. And you see that it's just started indexing. All this time that I was talking, it was preparing to index. Now it's indexing the files. And when the indexing is finished, chances are that these textured models would work. Let's see, textured models. Now we have access to that and it's blue. So we used something that was private. We widened the access to it using Access Widener. Now we can fetch our texture pools using that. Of course, now I need to copy this for each one of these and get done with assigning the texture pools here. And here, of course, I need to switch back to using cube all models, But that's a story for another time. I will not do it. I will just put a to do here. To do, add proper code for texture pools on the base model provider. Because I'm not going to use this project, it was just a temporary mini series project to show you how to do things. Honestly, it had so many hiccups. It has so many problems that I don't think it's a really useful thing for many mod developers out there. However, it helped me because now I had an excuse to show you the access wideners. Of course, in future, we will use access wideners, especially when we go into some things like the chunk loading and stuff like that. However, right now, this was the end for the coding in this project. Now, there is one more video remaining for this mini-series on the multi-sub project system, and that is to show you the final result of my build.gradles and talk about another hiccup that you may have, especially when you want to generate your sources. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.